Alright, and we're back. Gonna be doing my favorite level in the game, Treetops, which is brutal. I think that's a pretty fair assessment to describe the difficulty of the level. Only because I keep screwing it up on trying to look really cool doing it the first, run through. Because that's the only way to do it. I think this is, attempt 3? You haven't missed anything riveting, trust me. So, this level is just brutal. It's my favorite because I like how you have to do it non-linearly. You have to do it following the enemies around to figure it out. It was like a level I'd never, ever finish as a kid until I was at least 10, probably. And it's because I didn't really think about it, but I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. And it just kind of occurred to me, what if I start the level and just watch where the thieves go? And that little tiny intuition as a kid made me go, I think I can figure this out. Because, yeah, that's the gimmick, is you're supposed to chase these guys around the level. And that's really cool. I quite like the, it's just, oh, this is a tight jump, hang on, I gotta be quiet. Oh, shit. Is that enough height? It fucking better be, after 3 damn times. And they don't have eggs, by the way, they just have gems. Oh, man, you have no idea how hard this shit was when I was a little kid. It was absolutely brutal. I like how this guy's like, good job, and I love the response you get, too.
That was quite a ride, Spyro. You've learned a lot since you were a young glider.
Yeah, well, you could have found an easier spot to get stuck.
And he's like, well, fuck, dude. I quite like that. Alright, now let's address the big elephant in the room. If you've played the Reignited trilogy, the enemies are slightly different, and people said, oh, it's because it's racist. Well, first of all, I don't think there was any racism or hatred intended in the enemy design in this level. If it was racist, they'd be going, whoop, 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 whoop. That'd be racist, but they're not. So, clearly I think there might be a little bit of a hyperbole, as the kids call it. That's fine if I get killed here. I'm like, alright, let's look at the design of the enemy when I get close to one, and I'll show you why. So, alright. So, with, native family members, I'm, part Choctaw and Cherokee, a third. That's the thing, is when people go, oh, well, I'm, whatever. It's like, no, I actually am. So, to me, can you... Alright. So, let's give a God's honest opinion of what I think these things look like. Bullshit. They've got a monkey-ish arms, little tiny legs, they look like a gorilla, kind of like a lion. The last thing I think is Native American war chief or something stupid like that. So, if anything, they look like monkeys, so... Is it because they have little tiny arrows, and arrows are only used by Native Americans or something? Or is it really some bullshit virtue signaling and you're making way too big of a deal out of it? It's a children's video game. Grow a fucking spine and a pair. I died trying to explain this bullshit controversy to somebody. So, anyways. I've always liked this level as a kid because it was such a cool experience to, figure it out. And I think that's why I like it so much. It's also just difficult, and it makes you actually utilize something that you've been using the whole game to the fullest effect that you possibly can. And I love that. There's something just... When a game makes you implement the mechanics perfectly, this level requires perfect timing, good gliding. The enemies have really, kind of iffy projectiles. They have iffy hitboxes, so you have to be careful. It's good iffy, you know what I mean? They're not very loosey-goosey. And the level itself is non-linear and can be completed in 10 different ways. I think personally that makes it super cool, and I believe you can kill the... Oh, thanks, Chief. That's what I wanted it to do. Man, this session is just scrub Lord McGee. But when I was a kid, it just drove me fucking crazy. This level was the definition of a lot of the frustration that I'd felt as a kid at just... when you're a kid and you're so small that you just don't get shit, you know what I mean? You're like, I don't get it. Why do I keep fucking it up? It was a good annoyance. I love that feeling. This level really brought it out in me, and I love that. See, these guys are like... I love the fact that you can sneak up on them. You can get quick attacks on them before they wake up. That's just... I love the idea that the thieves are just assholes to these, like, monkey dudes. I love that. There's something just so satisfying about this. Even if they're dead, they're just like, ah, whatever. You can't kill them. Also, this is not the first game in the series, and the last, I should say, that uses these. They're used in Spyro 2, they're used in Spyro 3. I think, didn't one of the later Spyro games also use them as like a training ground for him or something like that was a whole level? I don't know. Anything past these 3 games is like just fan fiction to me. Doesn't exist. It's like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It's like, yeah, cool, that's bullshit. It's not real. And, you know, EU's pretty bullshit too, but let's just make our peace and just admit it. The only good Star Wars is no more Star Wars. That's what we really need, if you ask me. But no, I've never read any of those EU novels. I know a fucking hell of a lot about the EU for some reason, because look, this is something I'm fully admitting. I have like an addiction to like just finding out the most obscure shit about like things that don't matter. And I ended up doing it with Star Wars because I thought it was funny. And then like I got really into like the EU stuff. I'm not gonna make, oh my god, I thought I wasn't gonna make that. And I just had it on as background noise while like doing the dishes and shit. And I don't have any actual attachment to it. That's like the funniest thing. It's like, I'd sound like the most pathetic fanboy if you really put it down to it, but in the end of the day, I genuinely don't care. And I love that sound they make, this riff. I love it. Fucking love it. Also, these guys remind me of this crazy homeless guy. I used to call him Beardlock, because he had dreadlock beard, because he was disgusting and gross and old and nasty and scary. So he would not communicate properly with people. He'd just grunt at them and like put his hand in his filthy jizz coat and go, "Reh, reh." Like, and he'd do this with like every single penny in his pocket for like 5 minutes. And I just started giving him free coffee because I was like, fuck it, I don't want to deal with this guy. See, when you're a manager, you could do that, but when you're not, it's really not a good idea. So, oh man, this poor guy. I mean, I don't really feel bad because he was pretty crazy. He actually picked a guy. This is like one of my favorite moments ever working in fast food. Was this fucking shitty racist guy was being shitty and racist to him because he was black. And first of all, I fucking hate people that are racist. I think they're just pathetic cowards. And this is where someone goes, oh, that means sus a no, fuck you, dude. I've grown up around all this bullshit my whole life. I think it's... I hate it. Anyways. And it was funny because he's like, oh, you deal with this guy. And I was like, I'm way too busy, dude. You're going to have to take his order. It takes like 10 seconds. Ring up, blah, 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 blah. And it was so horrible, but it's so funny because he was being shitty to him. And I just hear... He grabs him by the shirt, pulls him across the counter, and mind you, I'm our like kitchen supervisor and whatever, so I'm hardly ever at the front unless it's an emergency or to do breaks and shit. And he's got this goddamn guy by the shirt. He's like, "I'll fucking kill you!" And he's like, "Oh my god!" And you know, I'm just like, I should normally feel bad about this, but this guy's also a shitty racist, so it's kind of funny. That's what you get for being a dick, right? Why? 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 I'm just gonna cut the video. We'll do Metalhead next.